We've already touched on habits on another podcast, but this week's podcast, we're going to be talking with an expert on using those habits to connect with your team daily and weekly. The importance of a leader being in touch with their team is very important. Please join me in the conversation. Today, we welcome back into the studio Melissa Severance. She's a leadership and career coach and is also an HR consultant and training specialist and owns the company Inspire Big Dreams. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I love being here every time I come in.
We always have really great conversations and they usually go many different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I expect today's to not be any different because we always have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Daily and weekly habits that we can use to connect with our team.
Yeah.
I know on the last podcast, we talked about activities that we can do and all of that, but in a regular day-to-day job, I'm not talking about the things that we can go outside and do, go bowling with our team. I'm talking about, is there something I can do every day that you come into work that I can do to connect with you on a different level so that you become more invested in the team?
One thing that I think is really simple is, each day thanking somebody for something and making it a true thank you with more than just a thank you and giving reasons why it's so important to the team and how it's meaningful for them and for everyone around them and for the whole organization. I think having that really heartfelt thank you that you do and make it part of your ritual as a leader will go a long way because people want to feel appreciated for what they do and what they come in for. And they're actually doing the work for the leader and trying to make them happy. So if you can give that thank you and make it really genuine, and I'm not saying thank you for every little thing, but find something that's meaningful that you think they need an extra thank you in a bigger way. You might say thank you in emails all the time, but do something that's even bigger.
Somebody had once, I thank people a lot just because that's just who I am, but there's so many times that I've worked for people that never happened. And I think that's why I do that. It's like, when you're parenting, you always want to, if something was not perfect when you were growing up, you want to try to fix that for your kids. I think that a thank you does go a long way.
Yeah. And it's a form of recognition. I just saw a quote and it's going to come, but don't keep your compliments inside, let them out. You could change somebody's day by giving a compliment or a thank you.
Or a smile.
Or smile. You're right. I love smiles. All three of those are very important. So smiling, connecting, even just saying hello and individually going to your team if they're in the office, just saying hi to them. How was your weekend? We talked a little bit about that last time I was on the show. Just really showing that you care about them.
And how about, so you notice that someone's struggling.
Yeah.
Is it, like I just did this and I said, if you want help, I'm here.
Yeah.
That's connecting, right? That's
absolutely.
Like so important.
Yeah. I don't think we should assume what their problem is, but I think we should go up to them and say, hey, I see you missed a couple deadlines or you're not yourself. I want to let you know I'm here for you. Is there anything I can do? Do you want to talk about it? I think that's the right way of kind of opening the door.
Like being aware.
Being aware, yes. And noticing. It shows you care too if you're noticing they're not being themselves. Sometimes you can notice they're missing a deadline and some things like that. But if you notice they're not talking as much in meetings, they're holding back, there could be some underlying things that you need to get to. And you need to address it and have that open communication to know that that leader is showing that they care about that employee and that employee feels cared about and feels they're important on the team. Because we don't know what people go through. We try to be as empathetic as possible as a leader.
That's true.
But we can never walk in their shoes, even if we try. In the moment, I have a whole training on empathetic leadership. And in the moment, we try our best. We try to, not make assumptions. We try to not judge. And we try to be there for them in that moment. But sometimes it's hard to.
Right. Speaking of that, how can you effectively build that trust with your team so that they go to you? I'm sure it's time, but what ingredients?
I think it's definitely open communication and encouraging people to give feedback. And when they give feedback, thank them for it.
Instead of running for the hills.
Yes. Or even saying, no, we can't do that. Like just say, oh, let me think about that. Even, or saying, that's interesting. And, even just saying like, let me think about that if we can do something like that, or let me give you a reason why we're doing it this way, just to help with this suggestion, and having more open communication. And I think you have to share your experiences, and even as a leader, your failures.
Mm-hmm. I let's go back to that, right?
Yeah.
Failure's never final because you're always learning from it.
Yeah.
Sharing your failures. What does that do for your team?
I think it shows that they can try and go the extra mile. And if they fail, it's okay, because my leader has done that, and they're in their position right now. It didn't hurt them. It'll let them get out of their comfort zone, and it's okay. And show that, hey, you would never think maybe Jennifer Johnson failed in this area, because look at her now. She has a award book out there. She has this amazing business, but we all have our, we know success does not go in a straight line.
It doesn't.
It's like,
it's not overnight.
Circles. Yeah. So I think people just need to know that, like, sometimes we move forward quicker than other times. And sometimes we're standing still, even though we're trying to move forward. We feel like we're in quicksand. Having these stories and leaders really telling their situations or what they've been through will help people be more inspired to do more.
I like that, because it doesn't create, but it shows the human side.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, I've talked about this countless times where people think, oh my gosh, they have this, so they're perfect. Their life is perfect. I want to be them. And in reality, they're walking in the same shoes. They have the same, they put their pants on the same way and all of that. And they've got all kinds of stuff under the hood that you have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is like, you just got to be present for your people and spend time with them. Right. I think we're running so quick right now that I think sometimes we don't really, have that communication in the right way, and we're not really actively listening to people. That's a key component as a leader and for a team. Everybody really listening to everybody's suggestions, thoughts, really what they're trying to say. And you can have these opportunities to share your stories if people are really engaged and you have that one-on-one time. But if you don't make time, and you're just going against the agenda items and you're just doing the to-dos and talking about that, what we're behind on, where we need to go next, and not being in the present moment of what's going on with them, you're not going to be having these deep conversations that's really going to bring the team to the next level.
Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free. They'll sell your unwanted items for you, take away all the hassle by doing all the work, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com, come into the store, or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. Welcome back, friends. We are back in the studio with Melissa Severance with Inspire Big Dreams, and we're talking about connecting with your team and weekly and daily habits that you have that help you with that.
Yeah.
And something you were just talking about before the break was basically sometimes we just go through the motions.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
We're on autopilot and we're running from here to there doing our job. We're in the trenches.
Yeah.
We don't take that time to be present, which makes us disconnect from our team. And then all of a sudden that trust factor just kind of gets chipped away.
Absolutely. And sometimes as a leader, we have so much on our plate that we cancel some meetings and we don't make time for our people. And I think we need to make sure we make time. Even if you don't need that catch-up time, schedule it with your team member. And maybe some of it, just have a conversation with them. Maybe have one question that you really want to get to know about them or about the project or about something along those lines, and see where it goes. Sometimes we're too scripted and we don't have that openness to be in the present moment and really get to know each other.
I have an interesting question that kind of came up just now, but if that trust has eroded, can you get that back from your employees?
You can. It just takes a lot of time, and you have to tell them that you're trying to work on, opening up that trust. And the leader has to do a lot to get it back.
I would imagine twice as hard probably as obtaining it the first time.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's lost for a long time, and it's going to be really hard working together. And that's when you'll see somebody leave. But that's why the trust is so important. But if they change their ways, they become more empathetic, they listen more, they make more time for that employee. If they really show they're trying, the trust can be built back up.
So what is empathy? And I know this is off topic again, but what does empathy look like in the workplace?
I think it's more about, understanding where that employee is coming from, really connecting with them, building relationships with them, and really trying to understand what they're feeling
Mm-hmm.
and what they're experiencing. And only way to do that is really kind of ask some powerful questions and to really be there for that person when they're ready to open up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of characteristics that you can bring as a leader to really show that, active listening, like we talked about, asking questions and not giving answers. And
That's really hard.
yes,
It's very hard.
not giving solutions. So
Mhm.
empowerment comes into that too, like showing that you got this. How do you think how do you think you're going to do that? I'm doing a training on critical thinking coming up, and I was looking for questions to help the leader get the employee to get their own solutions, which is pretty much coaching questions.
Sure.
That's what all about coaching is, trying to get the person to figure out the solution themselves.
To their own problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think bringing coaching into your leadership style will be a game changer for a lot of trust and also empowerment. And, we talked about retention in the past as well, too. All three of that kind of comes together and helps communication. Because in most cases, if we always tell people what to do or don't really listen to the feedback, they're not going to give it anymore.
No. And once you listen and you use an idea that somebody had suggested, I've done this many times. They are so proud to own that idea. And you as a leader should be really proud to elevate them and say, oh my gosh, look at, she came up with this idea to do this. Wonderful. How do you celebrate that? What are ways you can celebrate that, kind of going into that segue, once something's actually happened like that?
Yeah, I think you need to know everybody likes to celebrate in a different way. Some people want you to announce it to the whole firm, to the whole team. Some people want an individual, like, thank you. And that goes a long way. Having an email or something along those lines, or spending time with the leader, or getting something special like a training, like something that they are making their professional growth,
like their work love language.
Yes. Yeah. You got to figure it out pretty much the same exact thing. Because you might be thinking you're doing all you can to recognize this employee, but that's not what they want. And that's the one thing, I love celebrating, and sometimes I love to celebrate in different ways. And that person might not appreciate it as much as I hope they did.
Right. You can alienate them if you did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
They feel.
And they might not want to be recognized again. And, you don't want it to, you don't want your recognition to go have the opposite effect on what you're really looking to do. So, you can try. Sometimes you have to do it in a bigger way. If they want an award or something, you have to. And they should be celebrated like that.
Right. Exactly. But again, I like celebration.
Yes, I do too. I'm probably go over the top. That's how I am.
Bring me chocolate and cookies and cake and balloons, and I am happy.
Yeah.
But I've been on teams where that is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Downright embarrassing to people. And they don't know how to handle it, or don't handle it well, because that's not their language, right? That's not their love language.
Yeah. And sometimes it's better to celebrate the team together. After projects or milestones, like maybe that helps some people. They feel recognized, but they're not on the spotlight. So it's like everybody together.
Right.
Some people like that more, like the togetherness celebration. Some people want to be, recognized individually because that's better for them, and that makes them feel good,
Wow. I just love our conversations together. They're always so great. Melissa, if our audience wants to hear more from you as to how they can motivate their team, grow their team, retain their team, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah. So inspirebigdreams.com is my website. You can schedule some time with me. Melissa at inspirebigdreams.com is my email, comes directly to me. And all my social sites, come reach out, direct message me. I'd love to hear from you.
Fabulous. And thank you, my friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want to learn more about how I can help you grow your business with the help of online courses and coaching, please head to jenniferannjohnson.com to check out my site, and also to purchase my book, The Confident Entrepreneur. You can find that on my website, and you can also find it on Amazon. Have a fabulous day.